Let's start with the Cranes, like you suggested. They're up against South Africa, the Uganda Cranes. That's on the 15th. And qualification for AFCON 2025 is at stake. That tournament is going to be held in Morocco. It's very important, of course, for Uganda to be there because we are hosting the 2027 edition. It will be a bit of an embarrassment if you're not at a tournament, the previous one, and then you're hosting the next. But not just an embarrassment, it will mean it's difficult for you to actually prepare yourself because you're not gauging yourself against the best at that kind of stage. We'll probably be there, but we're not yet. We need to get the work properly done. And so there's 2 games against South Africa at home and another way to Congo in Brazzaville, from which we have to get at least 1 point to guarantee that. We could still qualify without winning any one of those or even getting any more points. But the mathematics suggests that we've got to make sure because, and the reason I say that, the reason I insist is that I have a lot of history of terrible things happening to Uganda Cranes campaigns, qualification campaigns, which I can go back into. And yeah, I've told a few stories about this before. 1991 comes to mind for me. We were trying to qualify for Senegal, 92. And it's quite a number of people who were not born then, especially, I think most of the Cranes were not actually, the current Uganda Cranes players. But we had a team that was several times better than this one in terms of experience around the continent, but also in terms of technical ability. They were just better footballers, and that's no disrespect to these ones. But because of the politics of the times, we had a situation in which the Uganda players pulled out, SC Villa players pulled out of the Uganda Cranes team because they had so many games in hand in the league. They came to try and catch up on the fixtures, and also they had a packed schedule in which they were sent to the east. And they felt that referees were up against them because they wanted KCC to win the league. Because there were 1 or 2 powerful KCC fans who were also part of the FUFA hierarchy at the time. And actually what happened is that KCC eventually won that league without that league being completed. 3/4 way through it, they gave the league to KCC. So Villa players, including some of the biggest names ever in Ugandan football, Majid Mosisi, Paul Hasule and others, pulled out of the Uganda Cranes. We had 2 games to play in which we needed 1 point against Congo and Tanzania. We didn't get one. After we'd beaten up everybody, including that very Congo. It used to be called Zaire then. We'd beaten him in Nachivo, one of the most memorable internationals we've ever played. And then we had also beaten Tanzania. But we couldn't get even the 1 point. Never mind that the team that was left was still good. The politics that hung in the air just didn't allow for them to do that. But then there are more recent stories actually of us being on the verge of qualification and failing too. There's so many times we've had to draw calculators. There was a time when we played a game and then Zambia had to play in South Africa much later than us instead of having a same time kickoff. And Zambia went and won in South African scoreline, which was a bit dodgy, if you like, under the circumstances. But also, there's a time we had to just do something against Kenya at Nambole here, and they were literally out of it and had nothing to play for. And we couldn't put 1 goal past them with a team, again, which I'd like to think was stronger than the one we have currently. And so there's a whole host of reasons as to why I'd be a bit cautious about declaring that we're qualified. But I know Mark has a different view. For me, work has to be done.
I strongly object, Mark. And, first and foremost, the team we have today is actually more experienced than the team that Uganda had in 1991. The 91 team may have had arguably better players, but it's a more experienced team.
Not arguably. There's no argument about who was better. Those guys.
The current Cranes team has got players who are playing all over the world. You have guys who are playing in Europe, in Scotland. You have guys who are playing in the lower division in England. You have guys playing in South Africa. You have guys playing in Macedonia, in Czech Republic, and all over the place. So you cannot tell me that the experience of the guys who are playing in 1991, of all the players who are best in the Uganda Premier League, subs the ones.
I meant of continental football, because the Villa guys were playing. They reached the Africa Champions League final that year.
But you have Bevis Mugabe who's playing regular football. You know,
these guys were playing England. In Africa, in the Champions League.
You have guys who are playing in South Africa, the Ismail Watengas of this world. You have guys, the Boboses, who are playing all over Europe. So I think
you're talking about guys who couldn't qualify for the last AFCON because without any politics coming in play as experience.
The scenarios have changed because Then Uganda was taking only one team to AFCON. Now they're taking two. I think we've already qualified for Morocco, and here's why. They're taking two teams in that group. You have a group which has South Africa, Uganda Cranes, you have South Sudan, and Congo Brazzaville. I think the two teams that are occupying the top two spots, South Africa and Uganda, are going to advance. And the reason is, even with defeat, Uganda has that game against a very poor Congo Brazzaville team, which was beaten at Nambole. They conceded 5 in Johannesburg. They've been a punching bag in the group, and I think this Cranes team can actually go to Brazzaville and pick the points if they so wished. Obviously, this is not the message Paul Put will be sending out to the charges, but
I hope not. I sure hope not. I hope he's not listening to you.
When I take my seat at Nambole,
yes,
I'll be rest assured that I've just come to watch a game in which Uganda will just be walking through the motions, because we're going to be in Morocco regardless.
Wow.
All right.
Well, for me, there's work to do, but we'll see.
Okay, and the
one thing we agree on is that we want the Cranes to be there.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that's for all of us.
How we approach the rest of the campaign is where we disagree.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah,